Hey guys, welcome to Custom Kids Cars, and watching this video you're obviously interested on how to make custom wheels. So here on our temporary table you see we have a Dodge Ram by Kid Tracks, and we've got the rear wheels. So we've got one that's stock, undeep dished, and right here is our deep dish with Fat Daddy-O cake pans and 3D printed custom rims by Daniel Lyles. So basically in this video we are going to take you through the steps needed to perform this modification. The tools you're going to need, we actually listed in part 1 of this, and go ahead and watch that video if you haven't already. I'm going to put the link right above. Okay, so once you have the diameter of your cake pan figured out, which is in part 1 and Denver's videos, highly recommend watching his videos. So what you're going to need to do is we have a 1/2 inch drill, and we have our insert tightly fit inside of our cake pan. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to drill a hole in it right through the dead center. If you don't get this centered, guys, it's going to wobble on you. Okay, and a lot of times you're going to have some burrs, especially on the back side. So what we like to do is we take one of those step bits that was probably off camera there. So now you have a hole in the middle, and we're going to use this as a guide of where to put our axle. So we have this little axle that we made up. We just took a shorter one, but you can use your whole axle out of your vehicle, and you're going to put it inside the wheel. Like so. And this will locate the center where you're going to mark around the outside. Take your time, guys. This is the old rule: measure twice, cut once. So it looks like this guy basically fits right to where the lip of the rim starts to dive in. So I'm kind of eyeballing around, make sure that it's centered. I'm going to take your Sharpie, hold everything together, and get your reference line marked. Okay. And there you can see the line marked. And this is a dually wheel. This one's unique to Kid Tracks. So it actually created a bunch of problems, guys. So this is specifically for this Kid Tracks model. Your model of deep dish might be a little bit different. So highly recommend going slow and easy, but we are going to take our jigsaw and we're going to eyeball the inside of the line. We can always go back later and Dremel it. So we're going to start at one of the holes here that's already for the hubcap. And that's going to be a relief to get us in. And inside this rim, I've got one that's already done. And what you're going to come across is it has these supports inside this wheel. So it's going to be easy, and then it's going to get hard because you're actually cutting through these little supports. And then we're going to have to do a separate cut at the bottom flange with a different tool. So I didn't mention that, but yeah, once you get going, it's going to stop on you because you're actually cutting through one of those support flanges. And voila, there's cut one. Now, you're going to take your cake pan and you're going to go to put it in. It doesn't go down all the way because there's another set of support flanges in here, which that's before, and that's after it gets cut out. So we'll show you on this one, because this was unique to this model and it gives a little bit of a head scratch. So that's what it's going to look like afterwards, guys. So you're going to have to cut it as flat as possible. And it's still a pain in the butt because we would have loved to use a 4-inch pan, but it was actually only going to be 3 5/8. So we had to settle because you need to support this, guys. So once you put this in, you can't just tighten up the axle because you're only relying on this thin little material that is the aluminum bottom. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a wooden spacer so that it's going to support against this right here and the axle. And we're going to show you how to measure that, which you don't have to because I've already done it. It's 5/8. So the next step is we're going to take our flush cut cutoff tool and we are basically going to go and we're going to scallop or fillet that bottom piece. Okay, so once you go all the way around the diameter of that, you're going to have to get rid of some more material in these outer webs. And it's not real difficult, it's just time consuming. All right, get this guy out of here. So that's basically it. You've got 4 of these support flanges. So, and this bolts together. So these 2 parts of the wheel. So now we have full depth of our pan. But we also, it's not perfect because we have a gap here between the base of the rim and almost lost my load. Okay, so this is what I came up with, guys, to figure this out because you might be doing a different model. So we don't have any Play-Doh in our house because my kids are a little bit older. We don't really mess with that. So I've got some plumber's putty here. It was literally 5 feet away. So what I did is I took a hunk of that. I placed it directly over my axle hole. And then I took my rim and I squashed it down like that. Now you can actually take that out, and that is the thickness of your spacer right there. So you can measure it with a tape measure, or what we did is we actually just left it in place and we measured the thickness of it. And when we measure it, it's 5/8 of an inch. So we're going to take some 5/8 plywood and we're going to take a hole saw and we're going to make 2 spacers. And then basically that is all you're going to need for the rear of a Dodge Ram dually. Okay, so for our spacers, what we used, we actually had an old door sitting around the shop. We do a lot of construction, and it just happened to be 5/8 thick material. So what we have here is once we used, what did we use? A 3-inch? We used a 3.5-inch hole saw. Sorry about that. So we just used a hole saw and we put it in a drill press, and that is now going to be our spacer. And then afterwards we took the same 1/2-inch drill and we just drilled right through it so that it has the same diameter as our axle hole. So basically that is your completed wheel ready to be glued up. So now let's move on to the front wheels. Okay, so here's the front wheel. It's basically the exact same thing you're going to do to get the core out of your wheel. So that's what comes out of it. Okay, so here's your stock wheel. You're going to remove the hubcap by releasing these 3 tabs. And I'm going to tell you, these are a pain in the frickin' butt. We have these vinyl installation tools. It's plastic. So when your hubcap's all the way in, you're going to have to pry out these hubcaps. Same thing for the rear. I probably should have mentioned that because you've already got a ride on. So you're going to need 2 screwdrivers, 1 on each side. And once you get 1 tab out, the other 2 are much easier to remove. So little pro tip there. Okay, so we've got our wheel here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our Fat Daddy-O 3" by 9 cake pan. And this is stuff that you guys are going to have to do on your own, is figure out your insert. Hopefully Daniel isn't too busy and he can help you out, or you guys can come up with your own insert. That is not part of this video. We sub all that out. But these wheels are freaking amazing in our opinion. The detail, I could never do this, and I appreciate his craft. I mean, that is just sick. It's got studs on it and everything, man. So yeah. Okay, we're going to take our 1/2-inch drill and we are going to center it up. Set that off to the side. Same thing we did on the other one. We like to deburr it. Place it over your front wheel there. Insert your axle. Get it all centered up. And it wouldn't hurt to take your tape measure and measure around for some reference points. Get your reference line. This is your last time to kind of look at it, make sure it all has the exact same reveal. It's very important. If you don't get this centered, your wheel is going to wobble. Stock at 6-speed, probably, or 6-volt that is, probably won't be a big deal. But if you're going crazy speeds, it's probably going to lead to an issue. So again, we're going to start at one of the 3 cutouts and get us up to the inside of our line. Okay, so once you get all the way around, you might have to wiggle this a little bit. Now this is actually a 2-part rim. I don't know exactly how they do this. I think it's actually pretty amazing how they mold these wheels. But once you get the top out, you're going to see that it's actually an insert that slides into the bottom of the other one. So kind of like the back wheel, we want to make sure that when we slide the insert in, that it's fully seated so that when we tighten down the lock nut, it's not wiggling or loose. Okay, so we just got the front cut out and we did a test fit, and we're realizing that it's hitting. So it's not actually allowing the rim insert to fully seat down. So the easiest thing to do is we're going to have to take and we're going to have to reduce down this little nipple a little bit. So in our drill, we just got one of these little sanding discs, and try to keep it as flat as you can. And take down that material. Go nice and slow until you get a nice full seat, so that when you tighten the rim, it's a nice solid bond. I think we might go just a tad bit more. Okay, that's it. Now it's ready to install. Okay, so here we have the stock front axle and the stock wheel. You can see how nice that lines up. All you got to do is put your nut on there, like so. Well, when you do the deep dish mod, you're throwing these axles a curve. So what we've done, and it's the cheapest option that we came up with, is we just cut some PEX tubing. It's 1/2-inch PEX. And for you guys, we will measure this here. It is 1 1/8 inch long. So we left the stock washer on there. We're going to slide that on there. And make sure you dry fit all this stuff, guys. So here's the cake pan we just cut out. So we're going to slide this on there. And as you can see right here, all we did, instead of cutting the axle, is we pushed the front wheel out. Now, if you guys are doing another model, it's not going to work because you're probably lowering it and stuff like that. But that's what we did, is we actually just pushed the front axle width apart. That's the easiest, cheapest solution we could come up with. Okay guys, I really feel like we hit the lottery with this. It was the whole mystery of what are we going to do, because the rear axle needs to be longer on this. Here's the stock axle. And here is a stock Peg Perigo axle. It is literally 1 7/8 inch is longer. It's threaded on both ends. It is our solution to this. Got super lucky that I was digging around in our parts department, and to make this mod work with these exact parts that I'm going to put in the link, guys, Peg Perigo to the rescue. Okay guys, we're on the home stretch here. So we're getting ready to prep the wheels to glue or bond them or epoxy, whatever you want to call them. We're getting ready to do the last step. So once this is bonded to each other, guys, that's it. So what we're going to do is when you guys use the jigsaw, it left some little burrs. Usually what we do is we just open up some scissors here. We just go around and we scrape off any fuzzies. And then we're going to take some paper towel, and we're just using 91% alcohol. And we're just going to clean up any mold release or grease or anything that's on the actual rim itself. And that'll all evaporate away. And then for the rim, we are leaving these natural color. Now, if you guys were going to paint these inserts, now would probably be the time to paint them. Probably scuff it with some 3M scouring pad or whatever, and then paint this. We're going to leave this blank, but if you guys watch Kid Stance's videos, he likes to use black vinyl. So you can do this afterwards because you don't want it to get in the way, but we're probably going to just leave these blank, and then we're going to paint these inserts black. That's how we're going to roll with this set. So same thing here, guys. Probably want to take some air and spray all this off, and then we're going to clean all the way around. You can't see that. We're going to clean because these are the two surfaces that are going to bond. So get those all cleaned up on all four. Get everything prepped. Okay. So now what you're going to need is you're going to need that same 1/2 inch drill bit that you used. And we're going to make sure everything lines up. It's all centered. And you guys can use these smaller hardware ones, but it is a pain in the butt. We've done it and it sucks because you need to spray this onto a piece of cardboard, mix it all up. With this professional stuff, it already has the mixing tip right in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to install that guy. This right here is basically a plug so that you can reuse it on other stuff. Keep it nice and clean so stuff doesn't get in it. So if you guys use the link, I'm going to have the links to all the products that I bought. I try to use Amazon as much as I can. So you've got your applicator tip nice and tight on there. And basically this is a one-time use thing because once you fill this up with the mixing of the epoxy, it's going to harden in there. All right, so what we're going to do, remove your pan, and you are going to start pulling the trigger. As you can see, it's mixing the epoxy. And it's a little bit cold in the shop. I turned the heat off so we could actually hear. So you want to put a nice bead right around the outside. Relieve the pressure and put this in a spot so that it doesn't start getting all over everything. Then what you're going to do is you're going to center this over the hole. And drop it in. So what we like to do is we like to flip it over. And we're just going to weight it down with a battery overnight. Do that to the other three. After 24 hours, you install these guys and your kid is styling. So that's pretty much it, guys. Deep dish, Dodge Ram, dually mod. All right, okay guys, that was it. That was the last step. We've got all of the wheel inserts epoxied in, and what we like to do is we actually put them face down so any of that epoxy, it's actually settling down towards the seam where the hole is and the pan lip. We're gonna let these sit overnight. And if you guys saw that, yeah, we did get a little bit of maybe some epoxy squishing over it. We just wiped it off and made it real flat because we are actually using bead locks. So we're actually gonna hide any of that overflow or that squish, but we don't want that raised up because then we wouldn't be able to put our bead lock on. But all that's left is letting these sit up, and then we'll get some final pictures for you guys. All right, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notifications bell so that you can get updates on when we upload our next Custom Kids Cars Garage video. Thanks for watching.